guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm back with my April wrap up and my March TBR. So we'll start off with what I read last month. So from very end of March so it was the 31st of March to the 4th of April, I read Promises and Pomegranates. I rated it 3 stars. I didn't think it was amazing, but I did enjoy it. And I found, for the most part of the book, I was just thinking, what is the plot here? But then as time went on the same day I finished Promises and Pomegranates, I actually started One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I binge read this in the whole day. I loved this book. I rated it 5 stars. I was heartbroken by it. The notes I've written down I can't really even say because they're spoilers, but I knew who I wanted fairly early on to be who she ended up with, and she did end up with that person, so I was very, very happy with the ending, and I just thought this was beautiful. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. Next, on the 7th of April, I read Vipers and Virtuosos. That one I rated 3 stars as well. I thought it was better than Promises and Pomegranates. However, there were some parts in this book I was just like, what is going on? There was a scene involving some lotion and his man juice that did traumatize me just a bit. Yeah, I feel like the beginning was fine, the middle was weird, and the end was fine. Again, it wasn't amazing, but I did enjoy it, so I think I will slowly continue the series, and I'll decide later on if it's something I want to buy physical copies of, if I'm just happy reading it on my Kindle, because both of the books, Promises and Pomegranates and Vipers and Virtuosos, I did read on Kindle, so yeah, we'll see. I do like the covers, but I don't know if I like the books enough to buy them. Again, on the 7th of April, so basically this weekend I was trying to do a 24-hour readathon, but I got really ill actually. This is my first 24-hour readathon that I tried, and I just wasn't happy with the video and it didn't go well and I had to end it earlier. Yeah, it was a weird one. But I read The Honeymooners on the 7th as well. This one I rated 4 stars. I thought it was really good. I really, really enjoyed it. I was smiling the whole way through. So this book is the fake dating trope. They kind of have to fake date for 2 different reasons, at 2 different sets of people. But I really enjoyed it. It is one of my favourite tropes, and I really liked their banter. I loved how they just really didn't like each other, but just slowly over time they started to really their banter became less insulting and more playful, and they both kind of were less bothered by it, and it was just, yeah, it was really good. I loved it. Next, on the 8th of April, I read 3 Swedish Mountain Men. I read this on Kindle. It was one of Lily, I think, is it Lily Gold is her name? Yeah, it's one of Lily Gold's White Shoes books. It was my first White Shoes, and it wasn't bad. I have rated it 3.5 stars. I thought the smut was good, and my stomach's making nice, I'm hungry. And I liked the characters. I liked how the 3 men were different, but I do think it was a bit fanfic in terms of how they were. So I think Riven was like the doctor. He was like the adult of the group. And then you had Elijah, who was like the charming, always making fun and had a laugh, like the really easygoing one. And then was it Cole, who was like the protector, the brooding, strong, cold type. And I was like, it's the 3 different men. I mean, I suppose they all had their perks, and it's like the kind of men, like, you know, it worked out well, but I did find it a little bit like copy and paste in terms of like it was a little bit cliche. Like the men were a little bit cliche, but I loved Elijah. I thought he was adorable. But I did enjoy it. The next book I read was a DNF. I tried reading Falling to Ash. I actually got 96 pages into it, so not too bad, but zombies got involved, and I was like, no, this isn't for me. So I've kept a bookmark in just to kind of say where I am, but this is going to be on hold. I just don't think I'm ever going to want to read this. It's written like a YA, but she swears a lot, and I'm like, I know for a fact there's not like the romance isn't very like, it's not a lot in this, and I was like, you know what, I just don't, I'm not bothered. I'm not bothered about this story. I'm not intrigued by the characters. I'm just gonna unhaul it, frankly. However, my next one, Lessons in Chemistry. So I read this from the 12th to the 15th of April, and this was a 5-star read. I loved this book. I just took my time with it, to be honest. It is quite a big book, to be honest. It did take me like longer than normal to read, but I really enjoyed it. I think I was just like so immersed and just not like rushing myself to read it. I just think Elizabeth is the strongest woman ever. She was amazing, and just, yeah, I can't get enough. I loved this book. And 6:30 the dog was adorable. Yeah, I actually only read a little bit of this in the meantime. I read most of this on the 15th, and this is when I was doing my 24-hour readathon again, which is up. And throughout the course of this weekend, I started feeling more and more ill. So when I actually went to write this down, I haven't put any notes because my brain wasn't working. But I was actually telling my mum all about this yesterday, and I went into great deal about the whole thing. Yeah, it's a great book. You should pick it up if you just want female empowerment. However, you will also be annoyed at how much sexism is in the book, because obviously this is set in America in the late 50s, early 60s. So obviously sexism was a huge thing, and it was just what women were used to, and you will be annoyed by it. Like, it's so awful, and it's just obviously, it's just what happened. So it is annoying, but it's not like it's badly written. It's annoying, but like, it's because it's written so well and it's so real that it just pulls that emotions out of you. Like, you would feel like that if someone treated you that way now. Like, yeah, really good. Then I read Brutal Prince, which I rated 4 stars. So I read this on the 15th and the 16th. This 24-hour readathon this month, they just weren't going well. I actually read this on my Kindle, but I rated it 4 stars, and I really liked the series, and I much prefer it over the Monsters and Muses series. So I did buy the full series straight after I read this, pretty much. As soon as I got paid, I bought this series. Again, I haven't written any notes about this, to be completely honest with you. I just enjoyed it. I remember thinking I really liked, I think her name's Ida, because it's Aida, how it's spelled. I really liked how strong she was as a character, in terms of she wasn't like, I'm more capable than other girls. She wasn't like annoying. She just was strong, she was capable, and she knew it, and she just proved it, and she wasn't like whiny and annoying. So the fact that the female main character was not just a helpless pushover, I loved that. Because that happens too much in books, especially in like smutty books where you've got like the alpha male kind of guy, like dominant guy going on. Like, you can have a dominant guy, but you can also have that matched with a strong-willed, determined, capable woman, and that is what I like to read. Next, I DNF'd Cleopatra and Frankenstein. I managed to read 80 pages. I'm even finished in the middle of a chapter. Like, it's so bad. I will go back to this. I'm not DNFing and unhauling this book like I am with Falling to Ash. I think what it was, when I was reading this book, was when I was really starting to get ill, and just like my cold was really starting to make me feel ill, and I couldn't concentrate, and then I just kept like dipping in and out of it, and I just didn't know what was going on. Because to be honest, as far as I can see for this book so far, there is zero plot. It is just vibes, and I will be there for that at some point, but not right now. So this will be going back into my pile to read. Okay, and then from the 27th to 29th, I read Every Summer After. I had literally just got this book, I think the day before, or a couple of days before, when I started reading it. This book I rated 4 stars. I love this book. Sam was just so lovely. He still won't quite live up to Nate from Icebreaker, because he is just the love of my life. He is my favourite book boyfriend so far. But he was so lovely. He was like, so basically this book is, I thought it was about like a group of friends. It's not. It's about this girl who would go to this lake house every summer where these 2 brothers lived all year round. And Sam, the youngest brother, was the same age as her, and then he's got an older brother, Charlie, who's 2 years older than them. And basically it's Sam and Persephone, or Percy as they call her, where they became really good friends over the first summer that they went to this lake house, and every year they'd go back, and just them sort of getting older and their friendship growing and it turning into more. And then, but you realise like throughout the book, it's going between then and now. So now is when they're 30, and you're just like, you don't find out till the end what happened. And I didn't like, when I was reading this, I hadn't really guessed what the reason was that they broke up. But it wasn't until like literally like a couple pages beforehand that I was like, oh, I think this is what's happened. And I was right, well, sort of right. It was worse than what I thought. But yeah, I thought the ending was a tiny bit rushed. I feel like it got to one point and I was like, oh, they're not going to get together then after this. Like, it's too short for them to be any reconciliation here. Like, for how much I had left. But I suppose with how they went about, like how she went about it, I do understand, but I still felt like it was a tiny bit rushed almost. It just, the reconciliation happened really quick. But I suppose the whole book is a reconciliation, so it's, I don't know, it's a weird one. And finally, from the 29th to the 31st, I read Twisted Love. I'm currently doing a reading vlog on the Twisted series, so you'll see more of my thoughts on that, but I was hooked pretty much from the get-go of this book. Really, really enjoyed it. So I'm currently reading Twisted Games. Yeah, I just think this series is going to be one of my favourites, just based on this one alone. Because a lot of people think this one, whatever, but the other ones are the ones they like. So if I already like this one, I've got high hopes. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 books I read this month. So I'm pretty happy with that. But let's go on to the TBR for May. So obviously Twisted Games is top of the list, as is Twisted Hate and Twisted Lies, because I'm wanting to read the full series. These books just get bigger and bigger. This one is 438 pages, and then Twisted Hate is 504, and then Twisted Lies 558. So each book just gets bigger and bigger apparently. My original goal was to read all 4 books. I have 4 days off currently for the bank holiday, just how my shifts work and everything. I have read, bear in mind, I have 1 day left after this day is finished, and it's after 4 o'clock now. I have only read the tiniest little bit. I don't think I'm going to read all of this in a day and a bit. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's fine. It's all right. I've had other stuff to do this weekend. The next one on my list is A Court of Thorns and Roses. I do want to get this series started. I'll probably read this more towards the end of the month, or once I've got most of my TBR out of the way, because I probably will want to then buy the whole rest of the series and read the whole series in one go. But we'll see. So ACOTAR is on my list this month. So I also thought I'd get a few standalone books in there. So I've got The X Talk by Rachel Lynn Solomon. This sounds interesting. It's not too thick, so I thought it would be a good sort of in between. And A Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. This has been, I mean, I bought this a good few months ago now. I bought this in January, I think it was. So I do want to get around to it now, because this is one of like the first books I bought since getting back into reading. And I've heard a lot of things. So this is going to be, I feel like I need to cry. Really, I should read this week because I'm on my period. But that's probably not going to happen with how much Twisted I've got to read. And Marriage for One by Ella Mayers. This one is quite a thick boy, but I'm really excited to read this. So yeah. And finally, a book I bought literally just today. One of Us is Lying. I thought again, if I like the series, I'll get the rest of the series, but I just bought the first one for now. I love how they're sprayed edges and how the other books are also sprayed edges. I just love that. So I put this straight into my TBR, just in case the other books are like limited edition sprayed edges, so at least I can get them. So I might read this one fairly quickly. I don't necessarily think I'll be quite as eager to straight away continue the series after reading this one as I will be for ACOTAR, so I'll probably read this fairly soon and not necessarily bother about reading the ones afterwards yet. So I also have 2 books I want to read on my Kindle. The first one, I want to read Hooked by Emily McIntyre, so I've got it on here. It's on Kindle Unlimited. I thought I would see if I like the series, see if I like the writing before I decide to actually buy them. There are a series of standalones, but I like to always, I don't know, it's the same with Twisted, it's the same with the Dreamland Billionaires. I'll read the first one and I'll probably binge them, to be honest. And the other one I want to read is a standalone. It's called The Brightest Light of Sunshine by Lucina Coney. It's on Kindle Unlimited, but you can also buy a physical copy on Amazon, but it's only on Amazon. My friend Katie found a TikTok about it and it just sounded really good, and then she read it straight away and she says it's really good, like really good. So I really want to read that this month. Okay, so those are the books I have read this month, and those are the books I want to read next month, or this month now actually, because it is the 1st. So let me know what you plan on reading this month, or if you've read any of the books that I've read or that I'm going to read next month. Let me know your thoughts. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!